Welcome to Beyond the Blueprint, the podcast where we explore growth, resilience, and lessons that shape our journeys.
I'm Barry, and I'm here with my brother Timoni. Together we dive into honest conversations about life, success, and everything in between.
This is a space for relatable insights, practical advice, and stories that help you carve your own path.
So let's look beyond the blueprint.
Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Blueprint. For those of you, I'm laughing because something funny was just said. You guys won't hear that, but yeah, joke. For those of you, the 3 house rules, for those of you that are returning, welcome back. For those of you that are first timers, welcome. 3 house rules: like, share, subscribe, pay it forward. My name is Barry Chamlonde. I'm a host on the podcast.
I'm equally a host on the podcast, so we are co-hosts, and my name is Temweni Chamulonde. And based off our matching last names, I'm assuming people can put together that we are brothers.
We are. How are you doing, man?
I'm all good, man. As per usual, podcast going well, work's going well. Even though I'm off and I'm still kind of working, don't really love that for myself, but it's the name of the game, you know? But yeah, everything's good, bro. Can't complain. On your end?
The best of us. I'm good as well. Also working remotely, even if ideally I should be off, but that's fine. I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
Break's good. I feel like I've already gotten quite a bit of sleep in, which is nice. I'm hoping I don't jinx myself because day one of being back in the office, I'm pretty sure all of this gets wiped out. But yeah, no, I'm good. Went for a run in the morning, feeling strong.
It's good, man.
Happy days. As you can see, for those of you that are watching, we've got a guest sitting between us. And for those of you that are listening, there is a guest sitting between us. So we won't make it any more awkward. Musa, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. Good, happy to be here.
That's it?
I mean, that's what you asked for. I didn't go for a run. I usually go for runs every Sunday and Saturday. But today was a bit tricky because I had a funeral to go to, which was a bit complex, considering the fact that I had 2 tire bursts on the way. And also coming here was an important KPI of the day. So there was a bit of anxiety, but I think now I'm at an energy level of an 8. So we'll see how well the conversation goes. Maybe we'll take that to a all-time 10.
That's pretty high.
Yeah.
8.
I like that.
Pretty high.
I like that appearing on our podcast is considered a KPI.
I am
So
chuffed about that as well.
Yeah.
Chuffed about
And
that.
how many Ks do you usually run normally?
So
Sorry, before you answer that question, could we please do icebreakers? This will spin off into a conversation.
Yeah, we don't want
So
to
icebreakers,
We're gonna do our icebreakers. So
okay.
the first one is we'll give you 45 seconds to basically tell us the fundamentals about yourself. So anything that comes to mind. It's sort of, as Barry always says, sort of an elevator pitch.
The things that you consider important, well, maybe not important, but the things that will bubble to the top of your
Yeah.
mind.
So just
Okay.
anything.
Yeah. Please lead with telling us your names.
Yeah.
Sorry, I noticed that our previous guest, she didn't tell us her name. So
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so the timer starts now.
All right. Full names: Musakabantu Unene. I consider myself to be a passionate person because I bring that everywhere and in anything that I do. Fitness is one of the things that some people use to describe me because there was a time I went on a fitness bender for practically 2 years. I moved from weighing over 100 kgs, like 120, to now 95. And also I'm an entrepreneur and a culture consultant who is now an expert. Spiritual, you can use that to define who I am. I am also very humorous, an incredible storyteller, and I can be sarcastic. And the sarcasm, I'm not saying it as a flex, but usually it's a survival technique. When I feel a little bit discomfort, I tend to be a little bit more sarcastic than usual, but I'm sarcastic to people I like.
Okay. Actually, you even went, sometimes we let people run past the 45 seconds. They actually went to about 55. So
and one thing that we're struggling to do is figure out whether we should give people 30 seconds, 45 seconds, or a minute.
But,
But maybe 45, giving 45 as a yardstick.
yeah, but then
And then
obviously
allowing them to
letting
go for
people-
30 or a minute. Letting them do their thing. Okay, cool. Our second icebreaker is what's something about you that if the guests found out, they would be surprised by? As I like to joke, if you've murdered anybody, please don't tell us. But yeah, what is the thing that's surprising?
I grew up Jehovah's Witness, and I used to go around with a satchel, spreading the word, and I was very passionate about that, and I was growing very quickly. They called my growth exponential. And now I'm agnostic. So I think that'll be interesting. So I believe in God. I just don't believe in religion anymore. Yeah.
Okay. That's very surprising.
And very interesting.
Very interesting. So there's a few key things that came out in your elevator pitch, so to speak. Sarcastic if you are uncomfortable, but if you like people. So the thing is, you could be sarcastic in this episode, and I don't know if it's because you like us or it's because you're uncomfortable. So hopefully we'll be able to figure it out. Fitness, entrepreneur, and spiritual.
Culture. You
all right.
spoke of
Culture
expert.
is the entrepreneurial side. Then there was something that you just said now. So, I've heard people say they're agnostic, but I've never really known what it means. So I'm assuming it means you believe in God, but you're not religious.
A higher power?
Believing in a higher power,
higher power.
not necessarily God, because God is different for so many people. Other people believe in themselves as God, which is a bit narcissistic, but it's got its own true elements. But for my definition is knowing that there's a higher power, there's a supernatural being, for lack of a better term, that, exists and expresses itself through our existence, and is so abundant in love, And for me, that's the truest form of God, rather than, the one that, murders people because they don't do his will, drowns an entire population of human race, and sometimes, plagues an entire civilization with boils and all sorts of pestilence and trouble, and ultimately kills every firstborn because it's supposed to mean something powerful. So when I look at that, it does seem like it's human-made, because the celestial being will be more intelligent than that. Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot. And I'm afraid of asking my...
Yeah.
And when I say I'm afraid, I don't mean... I know his brain's lighting up like a Christmas tree as well. But I'm not talking about afraid in the sense that we are opening a can of worms. We want this to be a little bit structured, so we don't want to just go off on a tangent. We do that quite a bit. So let's put a pin in that.
Okay.
Happy?
Great idea.
Let's chat about early childhood. Just give us a little bit of what I think a nice way of putting it is, tell us a story, something memorable from your childhood. Early childhood being maybe primary school. Doesn't have to be school specifically, but like, is it something your parents beating you, or you're getting chased by a dog with your mates, or anything? The time you got top of the class and didn't expect it. What's the story that comes to the top of your mind?
So I grew up on a farm, and that was in the 90s. Believe it or not, I am in my 40s.
Is it?
I was not.
Yes.
Are you being serious?
I'm kidding.
Okay, that's mad. You can never know this day and age,
I know, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, growing up in the 90s, where I was below 10 years old, it was very fun being raised on a farm, because I understood agriculture. I understood, socialization from that point of view. And I think it's the one thing that helped me to develop empathy and also understanding for various walks of people, because I felt like that farm experience exposed me to a lot. So personally, all of my friends were people that used to work at the farm. So their children. And those are the ones that taught me how to create things with my hands. I used to make wire vehicles. And at some point, we evolved into working with clay and stuff like that. But what was interesting about that story is that myself being the project coordinator, we literally replicated New York, the upper side of New York where there's a Central Park. I've only seen it in a magazine at that time, and I should have been 10 or 11 with my friends. And we built the buildings, and we cut down little branches of trees and literally populated them in the middle to mimic New York. To the point where later in the day when we're done, my mom saw it, and in a split second, she says, "This is New York." So it was very recognizable, and we were very young, but our imaginations were unlimited. And beyond that, beyond the blueprint of creating our little, miniature New York City, is that we were so capable, because we didn't have an adult, involved in the whole project, but the outcome was near perfect because we did spend almost 12 hours creating that. And I think that was the time when I fully understood, the importance of imagination and putting that into work, into actual work, and it becomes. And from there, I think that gave me the confidence and even the acumen of trying out different things because I know that it's possible and I'm very capable. And also looking at my friends that I was with, they didn't have that exposure of understanding what New York was or what it was, but they were able to work with me and were able to produce something like that. So I think that was one of the experiences in my childhood that I felt very powerful, so to speak, because I exhibited my own competency, I think.
Do you I've got a question.
Yeah, so it seems like, from what I'm understanding, you really unlocked some sort of the creative aspect. And as you said, a competency in you that you didn't necessarily know you had. Would you say that's really shaped the person you've become today?
I think so.
Okay.
Because I think, especially in my adult life, because, there's this thing called conditioning. Because after that, I wanted to do architecture. And, the grown-ups around me who, for lack of a better term, didn't fully understand why, investing in that would be important. They said, but all the buildings have been built. We already have all the big buildings. Why do you want to become an architect?
Yeah.
Why don't you want to do something more functional, like become a doctor or something like that, something useful. But it did unlock this because after that, I was conditioned to just follow the path. You go, you finish your grade 12, you go and finish your higher education, and then you get a job. And I think things during that time were very, let's say, progressive, but very one-dimensional. And when I got a little bit more confidence in making my own decisions, I started to experiment with a lot. So it did unlock a creative aspect in me. In my teenage years, I was part of a rock band called the Four Skins.
Interesting.
It's just
we were 4 people of 4 different colors. So I guess that it made sense to us until later I understand
without being insulting. Would you be?
We didn't know that the 4 skins stood for something else.
Oh, you meant 4 skins.
Yes, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes.
Yes. I didn't clicked in my head.
It helped because we used to lead with the explanation. So the adults were like, oh, okay. But nobody would correct us.
Because unfortunately, through correction, there's explanation.
Yes, they have to explain. Yeah. So there was that.
The innocence of children.
Yeah.
And what are the ethnicities? I mean, you said you were 4 different colors. Is it?
So I was the black,
quote-unquote black person.
The black person in the group.
Mm-hmm.
We had another person from Yugoslavia. I don't know if Yugoslavia, is it a different country now? I think I heard they changed it or something like that. So he was a different color. There was a white boy and an Indian.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of things. There's so much. So the first thing for me is, and you kind of already did it, you picked out a Beyond the Blueprint moment.
Yeah.
So we do this thing throughout the episode where we pick Beyond the Blueprint moments, and you already did it. So essentially, Beyond the Blueprint is young people are creative. Because I had a question for you, which is, at what point in your life did your creativity die? If it did die, right?
Yeah.
Did it ever die?
At some point it did.
Because it sounds to me like your creativity dies and you then go through this one-dimensional journey.
Yeah.
And then I don't really know if you pick it back up at some stage and say, you know what, I'm not going to listen to the prescribed blueprint. I'm going to do my own thing. And anyway, we'll get there. So I was thinking about that. But number 2 is for people that listen, who got children and maybe young people and people that they're nurturing, sometimes certain skills and certain abilities present themselves when people are still young. And I think we're very quick to nip it in the bud or cut it and say, being an artist is not a real job, especially in the African Zambian context. But there are people who can be accountants and podcasters, as an example, or people who could be, engineers and play music. The short of the long is, it's okay to encourage people to take the more conventional route, get an education, get a job, earn an income, but don't kill that raw natural thing that they have, which it sounds to me like might have been done to you a little bit. But yeah, that's a beyond the blueprint moment for me.
100. Yeah.
Just some other quick questions. How many siblings did you have? Just to add a little bit more context to.
So I grew up with mainly my mom. So single mom for the better part of my life because my dad died quite young. But yeah, so I have 4 sisters. And I used to have 2 brothers, but then one of them died a few years ago. And now I have one brother who's like my older brother. And he's more of a father to me because the age gap is quite significant.
Okay.
So we don't have like the way you guys relate, you know. For me, it's more like...
I'm a father to him, you don't know.
No, calm down. No way, fam.
I mean, somebody has to do the job. Yeah. So while we were growing up, I think I was very close with one of my sisters, Diana. She currently lives in Livingston. So I feel because we pretty much, and this is not neglect in any way, but you know how we used to grow up in the 90s, like very busy parents, very busy mom, especially if she's single. So we ended up like, she would only like take care of the important things, but then, you know, socialization and managing that, I think Diana took a lot of that. And we ended up having a super codependent relationship to the point where I can't make a decision without running by her. She also, whenever she needs to make a big decision, I have to know about it. It's that kind of relationship that we have. And I think it's such a powerful thing because I've seen how my friends relate with their siblings. You know, some of them don't have that privilege of being so close to even just one of them. And they become friends beyond them being connected through blood. And I appreciate that very much. And my brother was a person who I looked up to because he was very creative. He was a disruptor. He wasn't going to follow, you know, conventional ways of doing things. And he wanted to be, he was going to be a chef. It's just that he died also quite young. And that wasn't a thing that, you know, was big in the family. So his taking that route was like him disrupting the way things are and the culture around how employment and education and things like that within the family. So I found that very influential, especially coming from him. And yeah, so I have 3 other sisters. We have a great relationship.
But bundle them all together.
Yes.
3 other sisters.
Yes. And my dad gave us white names, which my sister and I sometimes talk about, because I'm the only one with an actual African name, even though I have the Dickens in the middle because he used to be a very, an avid Victorian reader.
Okay.
So he copied it from Charles
Dickens.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the firstborn is Gift. The secondborn, who is now the firstborn from my mom's side of the family, is Caroline. Then there's Jacqueline Venice. And then there's Thomas Allen, the one who died. And then there's there's Eleanor. And then after Eleanor, there's Diane. And then there's me.
So you're the last one.
Musakabantu Unene.
Yes, I'm the last one.
Okay, and how come yours wasn't an English name?
I really don't know, except I don't know if you remember that time when we were in Solwezi, I told a little story about my name and how at first I didn't like it because I grew up, you said something about children, like the competence of children, is it the imagination of children? What did you say?
Yeah, I think it was something to do with the core or the raw, I don't know, but anyway.
The talent of children and
Yeah.
things like that, the creativity of children. There's also such a thing as the cruelty of children.
Yes.
And the cruelty of children is the worst because it has no empathy, real empathy, because they don't know yet what's good and what's bad.
Yep.
So yes, children can be cruel too. And I experienced that especially in like junior high and even primary school where everybody called me Musa Bakery. So I was called Musa Bakery, here to the left, to the right. So I started to resent that name.
Is this because of Musa biscuits?
Musa Biscuits, yes.
Okay.
Because everybody calls me Musa, so I was Musa Bakery for a very long time.
I see.
So this one time, my mom was away and I had to transition to a new school. And I went there with my older cousin, but I somehow just like became the protagonist and took the lead and registered myself. And I signed up as Brian Unene. And I chose Brian because I asked my mom during my times of tribulation to say, why did you name me Musa?
Yeah.
Because it's such a terrible name. So I didn't give her context that I was being bullied.
Yeah.
So she just said, no, if it, I actually wanted to call you Brian, but your dad said it'd be great to call you Musakabantu. And, you know, he put the Dickens in the middle. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I remembered. And when I was registering myself to the new school, I decided to say I'm Brian. So now I get my results and I send them to my mom and they, who's Brian? So she was like, so I had to explain like my rationale behind the name change. And she said, dude, do you know how powerful your name is?
Yep.
Your name is Musakabantu. So Musakabantu, Kaonde by tribe.
Okay.
And Musakabantu means a person who looks for people. But in its implication, if you have a Musakabantu in the family, you have a person who is like a nurturer, a caregiver, a leader, a guider, a coach, a protagonist who brings everybody together, sometimes pays for weddings and funerals and birthday parties and, you know, is...
So it's a whole lot of
This
responsibility.
is an opportunity for you.
Yes.
I know you feel like you need to. Yeah, apparently he's paying for weddings and stuff. So if you've got a wedding and you need someone to pay,
Yeah,
You know,
sign me up. It's in my name.
they will buy it. Yeah.
And so she explained that, and one of the things that I appreciate from my mother is that she's an amazing storyteller. So even when she's describing something to you, it's never basic and straightforward or telling you by its definition in the dictionary, but she'll give you context with a bit of dramatization, but you enjoy the learning experience. And so when she told me the story, I found it very powerful that I was rejecting such a powerful name.
Mm-hmm.
And she did say that you are the one who has been appointed in this family to carry this burden because your father seems to be the one who's carrying this burden. And, you know, there has to be the next generation to be the one to bring the family together, make sure that spiritually we are aligned and we're all doing well and we're taken care of.
And you were young at the time, right?
I was very young.
She was foreshadowing.
Yeah.
She was.
It will make sense when we get to the culture component.
Okay.
But yeah. Okay, so it sounds to me like you had a very packed childhood.
Your memory is very good, eh?
Memory is also very good.
My memory is like, if I can just say something about my memory, it's actually, I don't have the best memory because I have ADHD.
Okay.
Like terrible ADHD. So I have short-term memory. But for some reason, I would remember things that are deep in my past and forget things that I like for last week or even within the month.
Okay.
All
Like,
right.
yeah.
Great. Sorry.
My name is Barry in case you
Yeah. Okay, just explain ADHD, especially for the people who don't understand. But even I've heard a couple of things, but I've never really gotten a proper full understanding.
Okay. So ADHD, the acronym stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. And it is a mental situation. And I'm trying not to be cancelled. Being very, very careful.
Yes.
So it's something that happens in your psyche and your makeup, and there's a lot of reasons why you might end up with ADHD. Sometimes it's genetic, sometimes it's trauma, and there's so many other explanations as to why. But the way it manifests itself is that you lose focus very easily. You have so many ideas, so many things to do, but then you just lack the motivation. So it's like your board of directors just don't want to collaborate and decide where we're gonna go. And then you're just there like, but we need to make progress. But then your board of directors just keep, deprioritizing and fighting with each other.
Yep.
But then I have hyperfixation. So if something is very passionate or urgent, or if I don't do this, I'm going to die situation, that's when I hyperfixate. And when I do that, I produce like great results because there's nothing in the world that matters other than doing just that one task.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it is difficult if you are going through school. It is difficult if you are especially an entrepreneur. And it is difficult if you're a person who needs to report to a boss and they don't understand you.
Yeah.
Because they will see you as incompetent or unmotivated. But then they'll keep you on because when you do the job, you do an amazing job, but you just won't do it every day,
Okay.
So you go for therapy, you get medicated, and that does help. So yeah, which is kind of like where I am right now.
Okay. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Cool. We clarified that.
Clarify.
So, like I said, you've like I was saying anyway, you've got a very packed childhood. I mean, we've gotten a bit of context for what it was like being raised, siblings, family. Let's fast forward to essentially where you're at now. So you do the marketing and the selling, but how Musa and I know each other. It's not a very interesting story, but for me, in the sense that I don't think we met on like, I don't know, a plane that was crashing. He had a parachute and I like grabbed him and we like, sailed down. But basically I was doing some work for the company I work for. He was subcontracted by another company. So we met, that was how many years ago?
About 2 years ago.
About 2 years ago. We exchanged phone numbers, but never spoke. So then 2 years later, we have a workshop in his company, which he's about to talk about. We're facilitating the workshop and we meet again. We didn't exchange phone numbers because I had to leave early, but we become friends on Facebook and I'm like, this guy was pretty cool. I think it would be really nice to have on the podcast. He gives me his phone number and when I key it in to save it, it's not saved. And I always like usually add like a tag at the end so that I can remember. And I'm like, oh yes, I have met this guy before. Turns out he was thinking the exact same thing, but he didn't get an opportunity to say it on the day. So
You've changed physiologically.
Hopefully in a good way.
Hopefully in a good way.
In a good way.
But yeah, so one of the things that he does at the moment is he operates or runs or owns a company called Culture. Tell us, what's Culture about and what do you guys do?
So Culture Labs Consulting. So as its name suggests, our main focus is to support organizations, regardless of what they are, including families, and all the way up to large conglomerates who want to, invest in their culture. So this could be culture reform or transformation or sustainability and just strengthening the knots. But all things culture related, from organizational to leadership to staff engagement and pretty much everything else, including basic things as administration, operations, and also marketing. So we try to help organizations build a deliberate culture around these things. And for us, what's interesting is that we focus on allowing the company to fully understand who they are as an internal identity, how they project to each other, but more importantly, how do the externals see them? Because when you think of a company, for example, I will praise F&B because I think it's got an amazing culture. Even from the outside, you can see that F&B does very well for itself. It does take care of its people. And the culture, as a user, I can see it in action. So most African countries, unfortunately, especially in the region, we don't invest a lot in managing our cultures. So Culture Labs is positioning itself as the regional, go-to support for culture transformation, sustainability, organizational development, strategic leadership development, and things like that. And we started off mainly as a team building organization. What we used to do is, we'd sell our services to customers. We'd make people jump in hoops. They feel like they are bonded as a team. And we write them a one-pager and that's it. And we did this for about a year or so. And during that time, I was managing HR at FSIO. And one of the things that I did there was to build the culture from the bottom up, because it was a very small organization with very small people. And we grew the business from a people perspective very exponentially. And this was happening side by side with the development of the culture. So it was very easy and it was very fun. And it kind of like put me on the path of wanting to invest more in understanding culture and also helping other organizations. And yeah, so every now and then we'll have small gigs here. No, come and do a training for us here, do a training there for customer service, do a training for sales, until eventually we got a big break when myself and Chidule traveled to Ethiopia to go and do a culture alignment, a team alignment, but from a culture perspective for IFAD. So they had their multi-country directors, all of them across different countries in Africa, to Ethiopia. And that was the true test of what I had learned about culture, because it wasn't only corporate culture, but it was also, actual people culture. There were people from Zimbabwe. There were people from, different parts of the continent. We had to be in one space and we need to find a language that will identify that uniqueness that every individual brought to how do they represent the organization and manage this in their spoke countries, wherever they were coming from. And that was kind of like what put us on the path. And if Bernadette Mukonyora is listening to this, she was the first person to give us that chance of doing our first international gig. And she called us again when we went to do similar work with her when she was starting up the IFAD office in Malawi.
Wow.
Nice.
So many questions.
You grill.
Firstly, for starters, you mentioned you took a trip with your friend to Ethiopia.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us a bit about your relationship with him and how that all ties into culture.
Okay, so Chidule Banda,
Who's actually
sitting
right over there?
somewhere here.
He's in the room.
Let's not talk about it.
So he doesn't have a mic with him.
He's gonna hear me stroke his ego in public, but
No, we can cut it out for you and just send it to you. So
thank you. It doesn't go to his head. He really has a big head. So I met him when he was, I think, in his 3rd or 4th year at University of Zambia. And I needed some sort of an assistant to work on some of the projects that I had. But I was getting a little bit swamped, so I needed extra help. And at the time, I was working for FSI, or still as the HR director. And I asked one of the young ladies in the office if they can find me like someone who can come in as an intern or something like that. And they did recommend someone who knew a guy who knew Chidule.
Above networks, by the way.
Yes.
We've been talking about that a lot.
And that's how I met Chidule for the first time. So the thing that made him stick to the point where we're even friends at this point, and we've traveled across Zambia and even to other parts of Africa together, is because I was able to see, number one, his passion and his intelligence. Because one of the things I look for when I'm working with people is people who are smarter than I am. Because they'll be able to see things from a different perspective. And this is terrible that he's gonna hear this. Yes,
sorry, but it's for the
He's
guests.
very-
It's for the
Chidule,
viewers.
plug your ears.
he's way smarter than I am, way capable. And then the thing is that the way, especially when we're starting to work through Culture Labs, how we complemented each other is that I was the creative visionary, and then he would bring the okay, great vision. So now let's break it down. So how does this work? How much money do we need? Time, resource, all of these things. He thinks him more in black and white. Not to say that he's not creative and innovative. He is very much. But I think he's very technical in what he does, which is great. So he helped me with that particular project, and the results were great. So we kind of like started working together after that. And even when we were given the big break to go to Ethiopia, he was the person that I went with. And even the planning process, obviously he brought his best thinking forward. We literally went into that, it was about a week we spent with those people. And we were young, all of us. He was way younger.
Yeah.
But these were people with years of experience, and they've worked in so many different countries, and they all listened to us guys. Like, they paid attention, like, yeah, you've got something to offer. And that gave us wind, and that was pretty much the solidifying factor of our friendship and also our business interactions, because I've considered him to be very dependable. And every time I need support, he's there. Except this one time when we were in Ethiopia, all I wanted was for us to have a chilled night before our flight tomorrow back to our home. And he was like, no, we need to go and see the Ethiopia. And you know what a man means when he says, let's go and see Ethiopia.
Yeah.
We're not sure whether we're going to come back here. So we go club hopping, and we go out, and we decided to go and look for chewing gums. We'll call them chewing gums.
Yeah.
So while we were there buying the gums, the guy selling to us, he noticed, obviously from our accent, the way we're looking, he was like, where are you guys from? Then we said, no, we are from Zambia. Oh, are you here to work with the World Bank? We didn't want to speak too much, so big mistake. We just said, oh yeah. So we just went with it. It was a white lie, but we just went with it.
Yep.
Big mistake, because it made us seem valuable to him. And we didn't know that there was a whole stakeout happening. And he said, no, it's not allowed to chew gums anywhere in Addis Ababa. So you might as well just be there. When you're done, you can go back in the club. And that's what we did. And 2 seconds later, another man comes and he's like, no, he bought the chewing gums and started chewing with us. And he asked us a little bit of where we're from. I was like, no, while you're here, you guys, I should be your driver. So I'm a taxi guy. So here's my number. When you're done, tell me, I'll take you back to your hotel. Okay, cool. But they warned us at the hotel that don't get into anybody's car. Always use the app to get your taxi. Just don't get in anyone's car no matter what. We heard it and we were never going to
through one ear out through the other.
No, but we listened. We're never going to get in his car either way. And at that point, there was no way because we're still out. Then now, that's the time we met this guy called Khalil.
That name sounds
already.
Yeah. Anyway,
So-
look, I don't want to flag other people that says because this person's got that name. Very interesting name.
Yeah.
So Khalil joins us. He also bought some chewing gums and started chewing gum with us. And he started interviewing us under the guise of, I'm interested, you seem like interesting people. You don't seem like you're from here. So where you from? Zambia. Oh, Kalusha Walia. That's apparently the only thing they know about Zambia. And he went on a tangent explaining a few things about football that I've forgotten. And then he was like, do you guys want to go to a party? There's going to be lots of women. And when you say things like that and Chidule is present, that's all you need to do to like...
It's an automatic. Yes.
So I tried to be the reasonable adult, but at the same time...
You wanted the young man to have a good time.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I did it for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's how we started following this stranger.
We're just balancing out the skills. Chidule is very smart. He sees things in black and white, but sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes he's human as well.
He doesn't always use his brain.
Yeah.
I think.
Cool.
He uses other parts.
Other parts. Yeah.
So we start following this man because he said, no, there's like a bunch of kids who go to the university in Ethiopia and they are like on a break. So they're having a party somewhere. So you guys can join and you can have a good time. I was like, okay, cool. So we follow him. Literally, he's ahead of us and he's taking us to this place because it's the same space. So imagine it's a place called Bole. It's near the airport.
Mm-hmm.
That's where everybody goes to have fun. And we went through an alleyway. At that point, my senses were all on fire, but then I just had to be,
You had to compose.
Strong, yeah.
Yeah, play it cool.
we went through and we went to the other side of the building, like at the back, away from the main street. So like at the back, like where people do deliveries. And we kept on walking and we found some sort of a bar, but it was at the back. There was a gate. We had to go through the gate, if I remember correctly. And once we entered the gate, there was like, pegelos where people were sitting, and then there was a bar in one end. And that's where we sat, and we got a round of beer. And while we're drinking, we stayed there for like 20 minutes. So now I said, we came here for the party. We don't see the party here.
Yeah.
No. I just wanted you guys to get a bit comfortable. Let's go. So now we follow him. And this is where we have two memories with Chidule, because he remembers something different. I remember we went down in like a basement. And when at the landing of that basement, there was a sign said the bathroom's here. And then there was a glass door to our right. We entered that glass door. There was, neon lights everywhere. And there was like 20 women, beautiful women. So we enter and they just like position us. And these women start coming, giving us kisses on the cheeks. And they go and sit. Then the next one comes, kisses Chidule, kisses me, and they go and sit. Kisses me, Chidule, and go and sit. At this point, we can't make decisions. We don't know what's going on. We just need to let it flow. And at some point, we sat down with Khalil being the host, and we started drinking. And, there were women there, and we're just like, nothing inappropriate, I promise. So those...
It's a PG show. So.
Yes. Nothing inappropriate happened, we promise. But...
Timoni's got a question.
Yeah, so it's very fundamental. That's why I don't like cutting you. I don't want to cut you short in your story. But you said you guys remember two different experiences.
So I'm
Are you gonna get to that?
I'm assuming he's going to explain. You're going to
I'm
explain
explaining
your
my
memory,
version,
and then
yes.
you're going to explain.
I'll try and explain Chidule's version as well.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So, and I think Chidule has a video somewhere.
Okay. So he's got more evidence.
He's got more
Don't
evidence.
worry, we'll get it from him, and we'll have the editor play it as a I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
So yeah, we sit there and so one of the women that I was speaking to asked me to say, you don't want to like get me a drink? And I said, yeah, sure, 100%. You get a drink. So obviously that means we're gonna have to pay for it. Then we just saw like a whole bottle of some wine-looking champagne bottle on the table, and all of the girls were drinking. So I already calculated what was remaining in the coffers before we go back to Zambia. So I was like, okay, maybe one bottle. I don't think they'll give us a bottle with 50,000 kwacha here. So anyway, so they kept on drinking. At one point, Khalil took me out of the club to just talk to me outside. And Chidule remained with, the girls. And then a few minutes later, we go back, I sit down, and he takes Chidule out of the club. And by the time I was coming, when I came back, there were 4 bottles. And Chidule is coming back, there were 6 bottles. And this is not even 45 minutes, by the way. It's like in an hour. It was like within the hour. So now Chidule, this is when he starts to see things in black and white. So he now starts to speak to me in Venak. He was like, Mtuanga, have you noticed what's happening here? Because I don't think these women are drinking these bottles. They're just placing them on our tables so that we can pay the bill. And I think that's how they make money. We kind of need to be smart here. So that's how I told Khalil, I think we want to go because we saw that this is going to end up in being a huge scam because it's not even 30 minutes. Why are we buying drinks for every woman, including those that we're not talking to? So that's how I told Khalil that we want to pay the bill, we want to go. No, but the party is just getting started and having spoken to you properly. It's almost like he wanted to set us up with some of the women so we can live with them, but the time hadn't yet come. I was never going to do that because I'm a good person and my moral fiber is all the way up there.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know about you.
You can't speak for him.
Yeah. But that was the plan. So we decided to just say, you know what? We're not doing any of that. We are leaving because obviously we felt unsafe. So at the time that we're about to leave, he says, no, you need to pay the bill. So the waitress came and they gave us a bill that is equivalent to 15,000 kwacha. It was in beer or something like that. It was like 40 something thousand, but in our currency, it was like 15,000 kwacha. So I started querying it. That's how now we started fighting now with the waitress. And she went and called the manager. So this is the point where I knew that this was not a real thing. Because a manager comes to a situation that is looking irate. He immediately started screaming at us. Using the F word, saying, you foreigners, you always come here to mess things up. And he was very vulgar. So we became scared. So Khalil gave us little gifts, when we arrived. So me and Chidule were like, we need to get rid of these gifts because what if they are used against us?
Yeah.
So when we got out of the room in the foyer, just there before we start going up, I went first and I tossed the gifts. And Chidule went and tossed next. And then that's how we started fighting. So he wanted us to resolve the issue while in the basement. I started walking up. I have no idea where I got the confidence because it's a foreign country. They don't speak English and they just look like terrorists. Emotional terrorists. So
we understand 100%.
we woke up and then we went to the first bar and I told the lady, how many beers did we get? Said, no, plus the ones you got downstairs, you got 6. So how much is that? And the total was less than 200 kwacha. And that's what I paid in their currency. And I said, I've paid my bill. What about the girls? So that's the manager. Now what are we supposed to do? Those girls were drinking expensive alcohol without our consent. No, but you were buying for them. Are they prostitutes?
Was the question that you asked.
Yes. Are they prostitutes? No, they're not prostitutes. They're good girls. Then if they're not prostitutes, then I'm sure they can pay their own bills because we didn't come here to come and buy alcohol for people. So now we said, I'm trying to get away and he's limiting me, but he wasn't being physical. I think they knew they couldn't touch me. So he couldn't restrain me.
Yeah.
Because they knew it was a lie. So that's how I knew that there was a gap here. And I started walking off. When I started walking off, a bouncer came and he just stood in front of me. And then I started walking off towards the door. And Chidule just sat there not knowing what to do. Because if he moves,
himself.
if he doesn't move,
Still with the training women.
tell him that, dude, let's go. That's how Chidule picked up and followed me. And so now we're walking side by side and I told Chidule, the moment we get out of the gate, we're sprinting.
Yeah.
We're running as fast as we can until we can find the main way, the road.
Yeah.
So that's how we got out. But before we could start running, Khalil followed us and he said oh, Habibi, you need to pay me now those people are going to make me pay for all those things. And then they started screaming at him. So, no, you brought us here so you can put us. We know that was a scam. Like, we didn't give him a chance to explain himself out and said, okay, fine, you win, but just, give me something for at least bringing you here. So I wasn't going to pay anything.
Yeah.
And then that's when now I realized that it's possible I may have elements of like that level of survival because I conjured up such a terrific lie to get out of that situation.
Okay.
Because I started telling him about how we can become business partners and what he was doing here was like low level. He would never get rich. And I told him that he can come to Zambia and there's a lot of opportunity and things like that. And he seems to have believed it. And at this point now we're in the streets, and it was in the CBD, like Cairo Road. And he just said, okay, get my number tomorrow. Let's have breakfast. We didn't tell him that we're leaving tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about this. So I got his number. And then as we are separating from each other, there were people who were looking like they were selling cigarettes and they were there. They were with him. And then they just went back with him. So now me and Chidule were like, we need to survive this moment. We can't go straight to our hotel. What if they follow us?
What if they follow you?
So we started club hopping, which I think at some point they roofied us because I drank one glass of gin and I was completely drunk. I think that's why I don't drink anymore. But I don't know if Chidule remembers how drunk we were that day. We were really drunk.
You were crazy drunk.
Crazy drunk. Then we get out. We don't have network. We can't call an Uber. So we're just walking in the streets, narrating the story.
Yeah.
Then out of the blue, there's this Ethiopian guy who has a British brav kind of accent.
Okay.
So he now starts to speak to us. I was like, what happened to you guys? And we tell him the story. It's like, you are lucky. Because you would have found yourselves somewhere, I don't know where he explained, they would have just put you in the car and they would have told you to start contacting your family so you can pay them money.
Yeah.
You are very, very lucky. It seems like you seem to be very confident. That's how you got out of that place. So he took us to a place. He took us to a hotel. That's where we got a taxi back. And then we oversleep. The plane is leaving at 8:15 and we're waking up at 7 and then there's traffic that is mad. So luckily the one who's driving the shuttle from the hotel to the airport he knew. He took us in the ghetto. We got out on the other side. We were there. We had to run throughout, check in throughout. But luckily the plane was a bit late. So at the time that we're getting there, that's when we found people boarding.
Oh, okay.
Then we sat, we were in taxi, and a few minutes later we're in the air. That's when we're like,
So you took a
Sigh of
proper
relief.
breath. Yeah.
Sigh of relief.
we're safe. But it was an amazing experience. And it
In
does
hindsight,
make
at
for
least.
amazing dinner party stories.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
I think if I were listening to this episode, because I listen to podcasts as I work. This is one of those moments where I stop for a moment.
You focus.
And I focus.
Yeah,
and if
I
my boss
don't
is
even know how
listening
long
to
we've
this,
been
at no
talking for
point in
this.
time do I ever do that. I'm working all the
That's
time.
crazy.
But that's a crazy story.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Okay, and then Chidule's version? What was different? You don't have to explain.
It was a marginal difference because he doesn't remember the people that were with Khalil that showed up. And he doesn't remember us going in the basement. He says it was just a room that we walked in.
You didn't go down.
Yeah, we didn't go down.
He must have been roofied.
Yeah, I must have been more.
I remember very clearly that it was down. You don't remember going upstairs. Can I talk to you?
No, you can't. You can't. You can't. We'll get another episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll have his chance to talk.
narrate his own story.
Yeah, so those are the two parts that were different about the story. I don't know what else he has picked up while I'm even telling it again. But we had that.
For the most part, it's
Yeah,
in
that
and
was
around that.
Yeah.
So I think what I wanted to say is the story was amazing. I was sitting here and I completely forgot that we're recording this episode. I was gone.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say is, so we were chatting a bit about something before we started recording, and I've had these conversations. And even yesterday we had dinner with someone, and we're having a conversation. He's a very successful businessman, and when people narrate the past, the things that they have experienced, they speak over them sometimes as though it was a 2-minute experience. Right? I can tell you when I was learning how to ride a bike, I struggled. And on the last day, my dad told my cousin who was teaching me how to ride a bike, if you don't learn today, it's over. But there was weeks of jumping on the bike, falling, and falling. And of course, it's very difficult to engage people when you explain to them an experience that you have
Sure.
to the minute detail, and you get them to experience it as though you were the way you were experiencing it as well. But I think what I wanted to chat about is because this was all because of culture, right? You guys had gone for work and then you said, look, the job is done. Let's have a bit of a light moment. And then you get this extra experience, which you obviously did not plan for. But that's also just to say that for the people that do listen, for starters, and we talked about this in the Wupe episode, people are just human beings. Even the successful people you see who've got all these businesses, have achieved all these things, they're human beings. Two, people experience things. People go through things to make things happen, you know?
Sure.
So I mean, he narrates it as though it was interesting and we're here having a laugh. But I can only imagine what your
Nerve-wracking.
minds were going through in that moment. You must have been freaking out. I'm just like, I would have been freaking out, you know?
Yeah.
So one of the things that Chidule told me afterwards is that I've never met that version of you where our whole universe was falling apart. I was freaking out, but you just were composed. Like I was incredibly composed to the point where as though I was even like, like brushing him off, like his behavior was an acceptable situation because at some point he picked up the phone to say, I'm calling the police. But then he was calling the police, and this is a country where they speak Arabic or Aramaic or something like that. They were speaking in English, you know? So meaning they wanted me to be aware of what the conversation was. That's when I knew that was a scam. So still, even though I knew that this was a lie, a normal person should have been like freaking out.
Of course, yes.
But I just refused that. I'm not going to lose my cool here. And that's one of the things he told me, that it's your level of composure that really confused me. Like, how were you composed?
Yeah.
But it was necessary and it was survival. Because me showing them that we were weak, they would have taken advantage of us. But I think they also didn't understand who we were. Just by the way we stood our ground to say, we're not paying you anything, and we did not. We left and paid what we owed them.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's some crazy survival instinct.
There's this thing that Timoni and I talk about, and I from a movie that I watched. I can't remember the name of the movie. It's Basketball, white guy, bad knees, couldn't jump. But anyway, he says something about how in times of pressure, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. Now, you can't train you potentially could train for a kidnapping scenario where you tell your kid, if these things are happening, you're probably about to be kidnapped, this is what you should do, right? But then in that instance, you couldn't have trained for that opportunity or that moment. But what is it that you think happened that resulted in you rising to the occasion or falling to the level of your training? Do you have a past experience a past similar experience, or was it literally just the adrenaline or fight or flight? What was it?
I mean, I grew up Jehovah's Witness, guys. If there's one thing you learn there, is how to remain composed no matter what the situation, because you're trained as a young person to be a public speaker, to change people's paradigms, and some of that could result in reactivity. And so you learn how to be composed. From a young age, I knew how it felt like to stand in front of 3,000 people. And so I understood what to do when I feel terror. And I felt it was real. But then I knew that the moment the terror becomes the one emotion that everybody picks up, I won't be able to deliver on anything. So it's interesting that you said you rise to the level of your training. And I think that was the blueprint of my training.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
That level of composure it's something that is innate.
Is this something that you thought about, or have you just thought about the answer on the spot?
I mean, the answer has always been there. I've thought about it, but I'm applying it to this particular situation based on your question. And I think that's what it was.
Did you manage to piece it together? Because I saw you make a little bit of a face.
Yeah, because when you started leading with Jehovah's Witness, I'm like, what correlation does this have? Until he got, so I was tweaking as well. He had me, but like,
and it makes sense, I've never really thought about it, because being J-Wit and some of the things that they do, having to walk up to people and ask them to follow Christ and preach to people and
it's not easy.
It's not easy. And I think there's a lot of day-to-day people that if we threw into that situation, they might not even be able to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But believe it or not,
maybe unconsciously it does build a skill in you that you don't. Because I've been in situations where, no, maybe not been, but like maybe even watched videos where a JWIT or a Jehovah's Witness walks up to a group of people asking them, oh, here's my pamphlet, this is what we're here to talk about, and the guy just gets blasted or grilled, but you need to remain calm.
Yeah,
you need
really
to manage and control the situation. That's very interesting. I wouldn't have.
But I think another interesting thing is like it's all about mental preparation.
Yeah.
Why I say that is, I've told Bear about this theory of mine that I have, that at some point in life, shit will happen to everyone.
True.
You know, it will happen to everyone. It's just like when it happens to you, you just need to take it on the chin, and you need to just like deal with the situation and move on. And you need to stay calm throughout that situation. Even Barry and I had a situation just a couple of days ago. But thinking back as you were explaining your story, we were very calm with how we handled it. We've had situations in the past where we've freaked out, like things have happened and like we've
Yeah.
And I feel like I have the exact story.
we must
right
be talking
now.
about the same one. So it just goes back to mental preparation. So as you went through what you did while you were younger as a Jehovah's Witness, it mentally prepped you for in situations when that came. You knew to stay calm, you knew how to handle it. So,
and I think added to that, the reason we were in Ethiopia is that we were dealing with multi-country directors. These were not just people. There are people who are country directors brought into one space, and there were about 30 of them. We were not like at their level, we're very young, even though I had a senior role at my current work. But at the same time, they had years of experience. So standing in front of them to actually support them in their development process and how they can be more culturally aligned to come up with a more unified message was something we had in theory, we tested it out and things like that, but not delivered at that level. But even then, it required a significant amount of composure. So even when a question was asked to me and I genuinely didn't know what to respond to, just me being in a position to compose myself gave me time to even just use words, to get myself out of it. But the baseline is just be composed. And it all started with, some of my experiences, and particularly being raised Jehovah's Witness, where you knock on a door and there's a 45-year-old man and you're telling him about how hellfire is, it's not as what people think it is. And you have to convince him that this is using evidence from the Bible. And you're just, 15? And you find that they say, well done, thank you so much for this. And, it's like sugar down your spine, but then it adds to your development. And you do it 10 more times. By the time you are 25, you are a different person.
You got the skill at your fingertips. Yeah. I think it then also goes back to say, some of the skills or some of the experiences that we take for granted, I think we don't appreciate how much they build up to making us who we are and some of the things that we can do. And interestingly, I think people being asked questions on the spot and being able to deflect or answer or even maybe smartly say, I don't really know, or throw the question back to the person, those are skills that a lot of people don't have.
They don't, yeah.
I've seen a lot of people be ask questions. I'm sitting in the boardroom, someone's asked, what about this? And they go, they just glitch.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, what?
Or they answer in a certain way and you're like, there was a smarter way of answering.
I think there was a
better way of, you're
so
definitely right.
I think practicing or learning that skill is very important.
Such as going on a podcast.
Yeah. Such as going on a podcast.
Or hosting one.
Or hosting one, for sure. I don't even know where to go.
That's an amazing story.
That is an
really
amazing
great.
story.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the guests will enjoy. I've enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So one thing about Musa is he's a man of many, many stories. So I'm going to poke at one story in particular that he talked about when he was facilitating the training. And all of these things that we're talking about, while they're very interesting and they're very nice, the Beyond the Blueprint moment is, again, we're trying to unpack how people have experiences. People go through things to become who they are. And I'm pretty sure even now, today he was just talking about how he had 2 tire bursts, a funeral and all of that, and probably had a hectic day. Thank you very much for still coming through. Yeah. But this is a story that he's going to tell somewhere else and be like, I had a podcast to go to and I had 2 tire bursts, and we'll be there having a laugh and whatever. So one of the stories you told us was you had a trip to Mansa and something happened. What happened on that trip?
So just tell us the context. Of course, you must have been traveling for culture and some work that you were going to
Yes.
do, and then how you end up in the situation.
We had a customer service training in Mansa, and we had to I think we couldn't, I don't know, we couldn't find flights particularly, so we had to drive. And so I borrowed my friend's Fortuner, and it was brand new, eh? He only had it for like a couple of months before I crashed it. So, and the thing is, I think that was the first time we were driving, and that's why Chidule is like an important figure in my storyline, is that all these interesting things, he's always there.
Is Chidule like a bad luck charm?
I think he's a bad luck charm. He's a bad omen.
Because he's a common denominator. Maybe there's some good stories. Maybe you can tell us the good stories, and the good stories outweigh the bad stories.
And the truth is, the good experiences outweigh the bad.
Okay, that's great.
It's just that the bad experiences are the ones where we almost died.
Yeah. And for the people that think we're bashing Chidule, for what it's worth, he's in the room.
Yeah, he's right there, bro.
He's
having a laugh as well.
But yeah. Anyway, so brand new
Fortuner.
Yes,
Fortuner.
and we started off pretty late. We were leaving Lusaka around 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And we reached, I think, somewhere like Chitambo district, a few kilometers before the long bridge. You know that bridge with a lot of potholes when you're going
I
to
just
Mansa?
wanted to give some context. I was just checking this. The distance from Mansa to Lusaka is 764 k's. So
It's far.
it's quite far.
It's like going to Harare.
Yeah,
That's
it is like
crazy.
going to Harare.
Yeah.
764.
And I think we at that time when the accident was happening, it was around 9 o'clock in the night.
Mhm.
And we were tired. I was tired because we were working pretty much the whole week, and then we had to drive, and then we had to work again the next day. So Chidule fell asleep. We're listening to a podcast, and Chidule fell asleep, and I was there
That's
driving.
not to say that when you listen to podcasts,
You
that
fall
you
asleep.
fall asleep. So please feel free to listen
I was
to Beyond the
interested.
Blueprint.
Yeah.
While you drive, yeah. So I think, and the truth is, I think I may have fallen asleep at the wheel. And I veered off the road, and the side mirror hit an old man, and he flew off the road. But then the moment I hit the old man, that memory kind of like got deleted or archived for a few seconds, for a few minutes.
Mhm.
Because when I heard the impact, I, without thinking, braked, and the car flew off the road and, turned a few times, and it landed on Chidule's side. So I was suspended in the air. Chidule was there on the ground.
Obviously, having your seatbelts on.
Our seatbelts were on because we would have
why.
flown out of the car because it turned like 3 or 4 times and landed on the other side. And then there was like 200 meters from where the impact happened to where the car finally stopped. So
Is that how much momentum?
I don't know exactly how that happened, but there was a long distance. So now we get out of it's 9 o'clock and it's in the middle of nowhere. We couldn't even see any signs of humanity. But then within 5 minutes, there was like 100 people surrounding us from the village. And we crawled out of the car and they started greeting us to say, "Oh, Mwapusuken," and they confirmed it's just the two of us. No one is like...
Just for our non-Bemba speaking, please translate what it means.
That's a very difficult task. There's no English equivalent.
Exactly
Like,
why
yeah.
and that's exactly why I've put
You
you
handed
on.
the responsibility to
Yeah.
Like, you survived.
Mwapusukeni.
Like,
Yeah.
So Mwapusuken is congratulations for not dying.
I
yes,
guess.
basically,
Yeah.
that
Somewhat,
context,
in
yeah.
that context,
Yeah, I think that's what it means. And people use it for situations as extreme as that, and also things as simple as giving birth. A young mother will be told Mwapusukeni because so much can go wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. So yes, that's what
Directly translating, that's what it means. But I think in context, it also just means we're glad
yes.
congratulations, or we're glad that nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's not meant in bad faith. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that in there.
And they were shaking our hands as they did this. And all of them were so nice and honest because they helped us pick up our suitcases. Our laptops were everywhere. Our phones had flown out of the car. They found them. There was no network, so we couldn't connect with anybody. And I remember when the accident happened, I called my friend back in Lusaka because there was no network. So I asked like someone at the scene who had a Zamtel. So Zamtel is the only one who works. I'm not selling on behalf of Zamtel, but yes, in that area, Zamtel works very well.
I mean, if Zamtel wants to sponsor an episode,
Yeah,
more
by all
than happy
means, yeah.
to sell on your
Yeah.
behalf.
So we used the Zamtel line to call my friend, and then I'm calling my friend, and it sounded like he was out. So I'm telling it, Isaac, I was in an accident, and he bursts in laughter and hangs up on me.
The guy tweaked. He was like, I'm not doing it.
Then he called me back maybe after 10, 15 minutes. That's when he was like, wait, what happened? Are you being serious? No, when he was telling me the story, he was like, no, someone asked me, who called? And I said, it's Musa who called. He told me that he was in an accident. Okay, and what did you do about it? That's when he took it seriously and called me back. So, are you serious in an accident? I was like, yeah. Well,
Is Isaac the owner of that vehicle?
yes.
Okay.
But another Isaac. So there are two Isaacs that I know.
Okay.
But yes, the owner of that vehicle is also Isaac.
Okay. What a coincidence. I'm very curious. Are you and Isaac still friends?
We are.
Okay, cool. That's very good.
But yeah, it's not the same.
I can understand that it's probably a rocky relationship.
Not the same.
Just
But but the thing is that he was very graceful. He was like, you know what? At least you didn't die.
Yeah, that's
He
what
also gave me the Maspusu cane. Like these things are material and they're replaceable. But now the crazy part about this experience is that their family, while we were figuring that out, someone screamed from the other side to say, please catch those people. They've hit a person. That's when the memory now came that I actually hit into someone. But I couldn't admit it because I didn't know what was going to happen. So I was refusing. No, we didn't hit anyone. No, but you've hit someone. So that's how, after they helped us push the car, it stood on its feet. And we started running back. So when we rushed back, and yes, there was a man who was literally covered in blood, and he sat on the curb. Now, everybody's just surrounding him, and I feel so responsible because I'm the one who hit him, but no one seems to be like picking him up or taking care of him. So now I don't know where to touch because it looked like some of his skin has come out. I think he got slapped on the tarmac and he got like some bruises, and I don't know what to do. So I couldn't even ask him questions.
Yeah. Next time, please give them a trigger warning because some people might not want to hear skin on the tar.
Yeah.
I'm
Sorry, guys.
I'm
trigger
sorry about
warning.
that.
Post trigger warning.
So a random truck came, they picked him up. I pleaded with them and they took him to like a hospice. So we went back to the car. And then now the relatives of this man heard that, oh, your person has been hit and the driver is still there. So they started coming. So a young girl came and said, no, the relatives of this man are coming. And she said, meaning they're not coming properly.
They're not coming well. Yeah.
They're not coming well. They're coming with machetes and they want to kill you. So luckily there was like a headman or something, like a man of authority
Like a
amongst them.
community leader of
A
sorts.
community leader who instructed another man called Bamap because he said, Bamap, like hide them
These guys have had them.
so that we can manage the conversation, then we can come and talk. So that's how we went we went inside the bush, and there was a whole settlement, like with houses, like villages, eh?
Yeah.
Village houses. So we hid in one of the houses that was abandoned. They decided negotiating and talking until someone again came and told us that, oh, they are breaking the car. Like they started macheting the car. Until the headman was like, but why are you hitting the car? Like, no, we want the driver to come out because he's also going to die today. If my father dies today, he's also going to die. So now someone warned us that they're now coming to look for you because they've heard that we've hidden you here.
Mm-hmm.
That's how me and Chidule now ran in the maize field. And so now we're in the maize field. We take off. Chidule suggested, dude, because we're wearing white shirts. So like, if they see it, they might see the white shirts. Let's take off the shirts. So we take off the shirts and we started now going in the bush, and we can hear them approaching. Then there was a thick shrub or like a patch of bush, and we forced ourselves in and we sat in the middle. We didn't even know that there was a spitting cobra in there or an anaconda. I don't know. But we just crawled in that little space and we sat. And we just held our shirts like this. And we could see them like passing outside the shrub. Like you can even see the weapons. Like, and they was like, no, touch Mamono, cool. Like we saw them this side, we saw them this side.
Yeah.
Until it became quiet. We were emerging from that bush at 1:00. It was cold. So now we're like, dude, if we die, we die. We can't do this.
Yeah, we can't just like stay here.
So that's how we
Sitting
just found
back.
our way. We started walking until we got on the other side of the road. But imagine the accident happened here and then we came out from here. So we're observing them from like close to 1 kilometer away. And then we saw like a bunch of women. They're the ones we started explaining to it. Oh, we're the driver. Oh, Monica, but if we go there, they're gonna hurt us. That's why. So no, like to go and speak to one of the older men there. So that's how she went. And the older men with the wife of the person, they all came and they started querying us. And this is where you see, guys, like this woman, when she was complaining about her husband, I'm very sure she wanted that man dead. Like she was disappointed in me that I didn't kill him. You are a simp.
You finished the job, man.
And I think I had 100 kwacha.
Go halfway,
And I gave, I put 100 kwacha. And I gave her because she said they needed to send money to pay for something that we needed.
Yeah.
And she got that money and it didn't see the light of the moon because she got it and I don't know the mechanics, but she got it and she just tucked it. So I don't know if she wanted to confuse other people who are seeing, but I don't know. But she just like tucked it in a few seconds and it was gone. I didn't explore that. I was fighting for my life. So that's how.
Sorry, just what's Chidule doing when all of this is going on? I'm just asking because
well, Chidule was like, he was present.
Okay.
He was standing there.
So he's just there. Right?
Yeah, he was just there. I mean, what could he possibly do at
of
this
course
point?
not. I just wanted to check that.
Because at this point, there were like maybe 10 or 15 people surrounding us, but the dangerous people had left.
Okay.
But then it became complicated because they heard that, no, the driver has come out of the bush. So he started coming back. So now that's how the headman took us to his house. We walked like almost a kilometer. We walked a very long time. Like we went until we found the headman's house.
And this is all happening at night?
This is now like at 1:00 at night.
Jeez. You know what's so interesting? Just to pause you for a second there. It's amazing how people that live
Can navigate
at night.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And you know what? That actually brought us up. You might not remember, but we took a trip to Kawambwa once when we were young, my mom's village. And like he was reminiscing on that experience and he was saying, it's so funny how they live, because you know, like in the evening, they sit in the dark. There's no lights. There's no security lights. They just sit in the dark. And sometimes they can identify the person
Even at night.
before the person like pops
Are
up.
you being for real?
Yes.
That's
And
crazy.
we were like, he was saying we were there. And he was saying, I don't know if they can tell from the way the person walks,
Or
the
the
steps, or
steps.
whatever it is. But it seems like they've either got very good senses, their sight is amazing, but they can navigate. Anyway, please go on.
Environmental adaptability.
It sounds to me like they were managing to navigate through whatever it is.
And we navigated through and we went there, and just springing from that was the first, because I grew up at a farm, so I know how farm life looks like, even though we were like in the main house and everything was there and what not. But I understood how like people lived elsewhere. But that was my first time being in an actual village house where the whole house is made out of mud. The door was made out of a cut up drum kind of thing where they just wrote it up and they put some planks to create the door. The floor was plastered in mud, and there was like a bunch of containers on one side. And I think it was very respectable, especially for him being the older man. There was like a couch, and that's where we sat, and like display chairs. And then on the other side, that was where I assumed was the bedroom. But it was so simple, incredibly simple. But you should see the amount of respect they used to give this man. He was so respectable. But then in my head, like you know, I was trying to balance what I was seeing because, and you know, the way we are in here, like this is a normal house, you know, and you go there, a normal house has a huge gap. What I would consider normal and what they would consider everyday normal.
Yeah. Pretty sure what Beyonce, as an example, would consider normal would be like very far from what we consider normal.
Yeah, and I don't mean that to sound elitist or anything.
And that's exactly why I've talked about Beyonce, because I mean, Beyonce's houses, I don't know, she probably got, I don't know, like a plasma
10,
TV
15
that
bedroom house.
I don't know,
with a pool
just
inside.
something crazy.
Yeah, she lives in a $5 million house, so that's enough.
Yeah.
We don't even need to talk about anything else. But yeah, go on.
So the bandits or the family of the person apparently came to the house of the headman and started crying out, hey, bring him out. We need to discipline him. There's no way this old man can be struggling. So now the wife, she thought at the end of this conversation, we're going to give her like something worth a pension.
Okay.
So that's why she was really fighting our
Protecting,
battles.
yeah.
Because she went outside and she cast them out like completely. Then later on, we discovered that the first group, yes, there was family members, but the second group, it was just like drunkards from the neighborhood who just wanted to cause a ruckus.
Opportunists.
Yeah. And yeah, we sat in there for like maybe an hour, and then the police had come. They had called someone from neighborhood called the police, and the closest police was in Serenge, and that was 3 hours away, right? We sat in the back of that van with Chidule because they picked us up and they took us back to the accident scene. And the police officer said, what happened? Then I panicked and said, I had a tire burst. And so I veered off the road and I hit into this man. Then he said, okay, well, but according to this, it doesn't talk tire bursts.
Yeah.
You must have left your lane and come to this lane. And this is what happened. So according to me, you fell asleep. But anyway, I'm not here to like pass judgment. I'll go with what you're saying. And that's how after some time, we went to the car and he says, take out all your valuables. So we took out like our laptops, our backpacks and things. Luckily, they
All
didn't
those
steal
things were intact.
They didn't break, none of the windows were broken. So even when we're leaving, we just locked the car. But the front, the head on the roof was bad. The tire had come out. We had to tow it. So we took our personal things and we got on the van and we started driving for like 3 hours back to Serenge. And we were there and it rained. So when they stopped and gave us a raincoat, one, which we had to share with you. So we just sat like little birds and it rained.
And you were heading to an event, right?
We're heading to an event. So now I have to tell my client to say, I'm in an accident. And he didn't believe me at first until the same number that I used to call him at first, he called it back and a different person answered and there was noise in the background. That's what made him believe.
Okay, I see.
Like, oh, that happened. But it was a bit of a disaster.
There's something that popped up into my mind. Whenever I hear people who've got stories like this, it reminds me of that silly joke about how you're 25 years old with 50 years of experience. Exactly what it is.
50 years of experience.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on. Yeah, you guys have to share a raincoat.
Yeah, we shared a raincoat. We sat there and it rained, guys. It rained. But luckily our things were in the front with them, like things that could get destroyed.
Yeah.
And then we go to Serenge, we signed stuff, we gave them our statements. And then they were like, this is the part where we put you in jail because we know where we're going to leave you. It's like, at that point, it's like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
So we just said, no, if you can drop us off at a lodge or somewhere. That's where we went to the lodge, we checked in. That's when now it's setting that we are in trouble.
That's when realization hit.
What the hell did we just go through? Did we just go through that? Did we hide in the bush from people with machetes wanting to kill us?
Can someone split Musa and Chidule, please?
I'm telling you,
Someone needs to keep
this
these
collaboration
two
is not right,
you guys
man.
apart.
Yikes. So that's when we realized that. And we were there for 3 days. We couldn't leave until Isaac came all the way. Isaac lives here, by the way.
Okay.
He lives on the other side.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he came with another car to like tow it. And then he's very calm and chilled. He's a man of very few words. So he just said, I'm glad you are okay and you are alive. But were you drinking? Just tell me the truth. And I said, no, I wasn't drinking. Obviously, we weren't drinking. But the genuine truth was that I got tired and I veered off the road. And after that day, Isaac has never spoken about that car, ever.
Is it?
Until today. He's never brought it about in any form of conversation. He just said, no, the insurance people will take care of it.
Man, I have to stop you there. Beyond the blueprint moment. Whoa. Guys, you just heard what he said, guys.
Crazy.
This is, he just said, brand new Fortuner, involved in a car accident. I'm not saying that I would have the grace to forgive him. I would have gotten there and punched him in the face.
I would have finished off what the finish just started.
I would have been like that woman and said, I don't know why you didn't finish, but let me finish you off. But the short of the long is, man, some people are gracious. Some people have big hearts. Some people have big hearts, guys.
Yeah.
That's not to say take advantage of them, but that's just to say that we should accommodate people that have big hearts as well. And let's not take advantage of them. But yeah.
And yeah, so that's how they went and picked up the car. They brought it to Serenge. The police, we paid someone with the tow guy to pick it up from where it was and bring it to Serenge. That was the next day. So that's where Isaac found us. And yeah, we were in the car with him until we got to Lusaka, and he dropped me safe at home. Said, well done, you didn't die. So good to see you and that you're alive. And that, that was it. And our relationship continued just normal until maybe in the recent past when we don't keep tabs on each other as often, but we're not enemies because of that. But then the story has a part B because there was a scam involved. There was an uncle who started calling to say, oh, now I'm the one who's the family spokesperson. So you need to start we need to agree what the damage is and stuff like that. So they wanted like a shitload of money. Sorry.
That's calm.
And we brought it down to like 20 something. And I started paying like slowly. So every now and then I'll give him like a 5,000, I'll give him like 2,000. Sometimes I'll give him even like 500 if I don't have.
Yeah.
Like just send him something. But then there was a time when things were not so well and I didn't pay him money for like a full month. Yeah, for about a full month. And he started calling me and said, no, the family is thinking that you're taking advantage of them because this man hasn't been eating well. He's the breadwinner and whatnot. So if you can't find money, it's better. I can show you where you can take out a loan. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to take out a loan for you. No. Like, because we need to put a roof on his house because it's about to get rain season. So anyway, I didn't go with that because it was ridiculous. But then the next time he called me, I think that was after a week, he started threatening to say, ulupa ole munafeti tukulowe. Because
translate.
That's crazy.
Now,
What switched up quick? What?
I knew it was going down. I knew it was going that direction.
Legit.
I was waiting for it to go that direction.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like, we should just bewitch you because
That's the
we
test.
thought you're just going to give us like one lump sum. If anything, you're going to pay us in 2 payments. But it's almost getting 2-3 months and you're struggling to pay this money and stuff like that. Mind you, when that happened, a lot of other things kind of like shifted. So there was a lot of things that were not okay. And he just wanted me to like give him this giant lump sum.
Yeah.
Which I couldn't, obviously, at the time. And anyway, during that same time, I had to go to jailbreak for a whole month. And I told him, these people who are threatening to bewitch me, if they find the phone is not going through, they genuinely are going to bewitch me.
Yeah.
Not that I believe in that anymore, because now that I see things differently, I know that those things don't hold power. But I told him that I'm going to be gone for a while, and I think I left him like a 3,000 or something like that. And I left that money with him. So him that even when you call, I won't be available. So that's how I went to jailbreak. And by the time I was coming back after a month, he started calling again. But luckily, within like a week or so, I was able to give him the entire balance. And he called me, Unene, we've closed. So Icha Shala Konomba is for us to come and meet you in Lusaka so we can cleanse you. What do you mean cleanse me? That, when you hit someone, it's bad luck. So we just want to make sure that whatever spirits were with you, we take them out. So I told my mom, she said, if this is when they're going to put the back. Don't do it. Don't even meet this person just because you're talking to him on the phone.
That's when they're not coming to. What the?
Yeah.
These people are crazy after you paid them off.
So
madness.
2 months down the line, I receive a strange call. And it's the daughter to that same man. She said, dude, it's been months we haven't heard from you. Other than that money you paid us to go and take this man to the hospital to buy him food and whatever.
Oh, no.
We have not received a single coin.
No.
So us, we want to take you to the police. And luckily I was sending Airtel money.
Yeah.
So the transactions were.
I was showing them. As far as I'm concerned, I was speaking to Uncle Eugene. Because he's the person who came to me saying he's a family spokesperson. And I've been paying money to him. But why would you pay money to me if that man is not even like recognized?
Oh, no.
So that's how I explained. It's like, no, but me, as far as we're concerned, we can't believe you because it's his word against his, because he's told us that you ran away and you now live in South Africa and that's it. I told him when I was going to South Africa and I told him when I came back and I paid him the balance and here are the receipts. Then I told them that, okay, because they were not, accusatory. I think they understood who he was. So, but at the same time, they didn't want to give me too much benefit of the doubt.
Of course.
So I said, I'm going to call him right now and just be on mute. Don't say anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a conversation with me and him so that you can hear for yourself where we are. And I called him. Say, oh, hello, Uncle Eugene. How are you doing? No, you've done well to call. In fact, kulika land kondefa mushte so that we can start planting groundnuts and stuff. That's him now saying I should send him more money to buy land.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know. There's someone who called me saying that I owe them money because of the accident situation and no money has been paid.
Yeah.
Who is that person? No, she said that she's the daughter to the same man that Amdala that I hit. No, those are just scammers. Like he was speaking Bemba, obviously, but don't pay them any mind. These are just wicked people in the neighborhood. They just took advantage. They just know because they haven't seen you here.
Yeah.
And he just went on. And
they were
he
listening.
incriminated himself. Said, no, you've been paying. You're a very good man. And that money that you paid, we even put a roof on that man's house.
Flip.
That's when we spoke. So send me the same number of the person that has been calling you, and I want to speak to them, and I'll go to the chief and the headman to go and report them. Cool. We hung up. That's when those people were like, I can't believe it. So everybody there, because it sounded like there was a number of people. There was the same woman, there was another man I could hear in the background, and they were like, it was like they had a family meeting. They were like, let's call him.
And the phone was on speaker.
Yeah. So apparently he was gatekeeping my number. So someone else whose number I used to make a phone call, something like that, is the one that kept that number and they were able to like get the number from them. And that's how they were able to call me. Otherwise it was gatekeeping, saying the number I have doesn't work. So that's how that whole Mansa debacle was closed after that one conversation. And I've never heard from them ever again, except Uncle Eugene tried to call me one time and I didn't answer, and that was it.
That's another interesting story. So, you know what's so funny? When you narrated that story, of course, you didn't go into this much detail at the training. I was actually sitting across from someone. I think that was the point where we were sitting across from people and having a 1-minute conversation. You look into the person's eyes. And I was like, no, he's making it up. It's not true.
Okay.
Until I think when we were talking in preparation for the pod, I was like, is that story true? I was trying to confirm. And you said, yes, it is. And I was like, okay, all right. So we decided to unpack it now. Part of why I feel like that story was very important is because I think there's instances in which we meet people and they talk about the things that they're doing. So sometimes you wonder, why is that businessman so passionate about his thing? And this is Musa as an example, a person who has been through all of these things. So even when he doesn't sleep at night because he feels like he's trying to take culture to the next level, it's because he's thinking, Chidule and I almost died. You know what I mean?
Twice.
It can't be for nothing.
It can't be for nothing, you know? Too much sacrifice has gone into this thing. And again, for those of you that might go ahead to search up, and we're going to get your links and any of your socials and put them in the link below in the descriptions. When you look at culture, when you meet the people and you chat to them, understand that behind this amazing organization, with all the fun and amazing stuff that they do, there has been sacrifice, near-death experiences. We're talking about near-death experiences. But I think it also just goes to show that, of course, some of these things were not deliberate in that you were not making them happen deliberately.
No.
But it just goes to show that sometimes you have to go through what some might consider near-death experiences to get to the things that you have to get to. That's not the path for everybody. Sometimes you're a trust fund kid, you're born, the money is there, silver plate, and you enjoy for the rest of your life. But yeah, behind the amazing brands that we see and the amazing things that people are doing, there are experiences.
True. And to that effect, it's not always the bad things, you know?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've taught myself is that to look at things with curiosity. So even when I'm experiencing such a terrible situation, I would have so much anxiety about why is this happening? Like, oh God, why of all people did you choose me? So obviously God is not going to spoon feed me the answer.
Of course.
So the thing I do now is I approach the situation with curiosity. So why am I the one in this particular timeline experiencing this? What about this situation supposed to test me, to make me stronger, or do I learn from? And I just learned that it's the best way to apply the bad experience in how you can strengthen yourself.
Like,
Yeah.
I totally agree. Because like, as you said, every time something negative happens, you can take it as a learning experience.
Yeah.
And as you said, I think that's a very good way of shifting it from, oh, this negative things happened, like I just have to live with it, to at least I guess that's the silver lining basically.
Yeah.
What do I learn? What's my learning outcome from this? So I also have the same approach to things. And
True.
Barry and I are constantly asking each other ourselves, like, even as we're going through the phases of life, even in the positives, it's asking yourself like, why me? As you said, ask God. Obviously, for us who are religious, or ask God, like, or trying to understand, why is this happening to me at this particular time? What is the learning experience? What is He trying to teach me? And yeah, that's very powerful. Rather than just like sulking about it, then it goes to waste.
And again, just to emphasize, it doesn't all have to be doom and gloom. Because Culture Lab, I mean, Musa has told me a little bit about the amazing things, and he's touched on it, right? Culture Lab's doing work in Ethiopia. They're doing work. You just came back from Kenya, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're doing work in Kenya. So there's a lot of other amazing, great things that are happening. Like, of course, he's narrated a few of what some might consider the bad stories. And I like the fact that he makes light to them. But there's a lot of good things that have come out of culture. And you might be able to say a bit more about how far it's gone, working in Kenya, working in Ethiopia, doing work with some organizations that some people would never even dream of having an interaction with. So it's not all doom and gloom, to be honest.
Yeah. And they say, you yourself, you judge yourself based on your intention. The things you intend to do, say, I wanted to do this, and this is what I wanted to do. So when you're introspecting, and whether you're being kind or tough on yourself, it's the intention that you judge. People will judge your impact, the outcome of whatever intention you have. So while your intentions might appear good, if the impact is not good, people will judge it as, a terrible outcome as they have received it. Yeah. But it's very important to make sure that we find a way of learning even when the impact is bad, so it don't repeat itself. But at the same time, just being sincere with yourself, especially because people will not see exactly what you wanted to do. And when, particularly myself, when I started out, my intention was to do amazing work. And my intention was obviously to start an organization that will consult and support businesses in terms of their people and culture. But the impact that I got was astronomical, in that I was put in rooms to work with multi-country directors. We recently did a project with GFA where we had to support TVET institutions to reform their culture, their strategic leadership, and some of their processes, and also digitization. And we also did a board effectiveness workshop where we're assessing how effective are your boards, but we're not looking at it from a specifically technical point of view, but more on a cultural point of view. So culture is behavior and identity. So how do you manage that as an institution? And we did it at board level so many times. And at the beginning, my intention was obviously visionary, but the outcome that I got was even better than what I had thought. And through my ex-boss, I was connected to a company in Malawi, where we did work in Malawi before we even did the second round of IFAD. And we did a bit of work there, supporting their HR development, setting up systems, writing policies and structure, and aligning people. All that was part of the learning process, and things that is now bolstering our competency as an institution. And then now working with Octagon, and I'm sure I'm allowed to speak about them, is that it's someone's personal love child from the past 18 years. Mr. Fred Waswa is the group CEO. He started this business from a garage back in Kenya, and now it's a multinational, and it's supporting different institutions across the spoke, which is Uganda, Kenya, and Zambia. And it's in insurance, obviously, so they do insurance work. And he understood that the business needs to be, understood from a cultural point of view.
Yeah.
what is it that we can enhance so that we can even become more optimal as an institution? And that means accepting sometimes feedback that can be very strong and difficult to hear, especially as a business owner. And when I walk into these rooms and I interact with these people who are so passionate about their job, but at the same time, they're emotionally evolved enough to actually accept, to say, maybe we should have done better. And thank you so much for bringing this up to our attention and things like that. That's when I see that the true value of the work that myself and my team, Chidule Inclusive, also does. And those are the things that give us wind when we start to see actual impact being generated. So when we went to Ethiopia, obviously we're going to do our best, so we'll do our best. But our intention was to do our best. The impact came out so greatly that we got recommendations. Yes. And even when our trip to Kenya, it's the same thing, because now we have to go back and now pretty much go around the whole East Africa, starting from Uganda, then back to Kenya, and then back to Zambia, which is great. And just seeing your efforts, your frameworks and methodologies being put into action, and country directors responding to it in such a powerful thing. And we don't focus on just us ticking boxes. We want to see actual paradigm shifts and actual cultural transformation, be it leadership behavior or the overall behavior and the understanding of the organization. You know, sometimes we learn that people have got values and they have absolutely no idea what they mean.
Yeah.
And there's no direct translation of those values into their everyday work life. So that gap is very significant in a lot of our African countries, companies especially, is that values are just like a poster that you put on the wall. Yeah. But you need to understand the different values, like what are our core values? What are the values that are aspirational and accidental and permission to play and all of those things? And how do they drive our identity and our service to make it legendary? Yeah. And so what the dream is to focus mainly on building an identity, a brand identity around culture, so that we can support different types of organizations, including families. I remember I did a session with a family that wanted to understand its values. And the same framework would use for a corporate, the same framework would use for the family. And they're able to map out their behavior and identity as an institution. So there is no, it's not one-dimensional. It's very multifaceted and it can be applied in so many different ways. We just need to know who you are, where you are, and we'll know exactly how to support you.
And I love how you spoke of the same framework you used for corporates is the same one used for families. I always like to, even when we're talking, if you want to call it corporate structure and organizational structure, a family is a very good representation of the same sort of things or same sort of values that should be carried in organizations as well. Excuse me. Because you see, like, obviously you've got the heads of the house, you've got the kids, and, you know, the communication is still important, and, you know, the leadership aspects that those people carry. All I just wanted to highlight to the people is, as you said, the same framework that usually works for corporates also works in families and vice versa. So it's a really good way of looking at it.
And some of those misalignments in families is purely just because of a lack of understanding of the culture, you know? What's the issue here? Are we failing to communicate? Are we failing to identify people's strengths and weaknesses? Are we failing to appreciate people's uniqueness, the things that they want to do? Are we leaning into, set mindsets or preconceived notions and a whole host of things that essentially make us conduct ourselves the way that we conduct ourselves? And I think we should really, really highlight that one on the family, because there are families that are in quite a lot of turmoil or confusion, and culture, here they are offering themselves up to say, and we've been talking about this, we've talked about this in a few of our previous episodes, where it's like your ability to humble yourself, or even just say, yes, we do need assistance, there's a bit of a problem here, high culture, could you guys step into the situation, break us apart, dissect us, find where the issue is, and let's see how we can work together to fix the problem. So no, that's amazing, man.
And in leadership culture, there's one of the things, just to give you a small snippet of what we focus on. Instead of just focusing on what's your leadership style, how does this show up, how does it affect your staff or the people around you, We also try to get leaders to understand the two competencies or skills that I think they need to have, which is executive presence and pocket presence. So executive presence is your ability to show up in a room and immediately, based on your posture, the way you are dressed, sometimes maybe you're wearing overalls, but when you open your mouth to speak, authority goes with your presence. So you having an ability of having credibility just by the way you look is a very important feature that a lot of leaders need to understand. So you find leaders would have executive presence, but they fail to harness their pocket presence.
Okay.
So pocket presence is where you become like a quarterback, where I'm able to understand your body language. You haven't said anything to me, but I know that you're throwing the ball to me. The people working around with the people around me. I'm able to understand emotional intelligence. I'm able to understand if I see Barry move like this, then I know in a second he's gonna pass me the ball. So that's pocket presence. So it's not you being towering over the whole pitch, but it's you communicating, creating win-win lucrative relationships, understanding people and different dynamics and how you can come in. So you are trying to move things without causing so much noise as you would as a person with executive presence when you come show up for a board meeting. But your pocket presence is the thing that will allow people to not only respect you, but to even grow a certain level of love for you as a leader. And your leadership is so dignified that I feel like you've got so much credibility and you're approachable and I can come to you because you're dependable. Other than you, sometimes you showing off as, a president where people need to respect you and get out of your way. But when it's just you and me, I still feel the safety and comfort of being myself and being authentic with my leader. So that balance is very important because leaders will usually enhance one or the other and never at the same time. So there are leaders who have very powerful executive presence. Yeah. They're just coming out of the car.
Fear than
yes,
it's very like people fear them than respect them. Yeah.
And your executive presence becomes a cultural defect because now other leaders who are below you will start to mimic your behavior, and it becomes a leadership culture. This is how we speak to our people. But then there are other leaders who only focus on the pocket presence, which I feel is better to have. If you're going to have just one side, you might as well have a win-win lucrative relationship with people. But some of our processes is to bring leaders to a place of awareness where they understand what is pocket presence and what is executive presence, and you merge them. Also understanding simple things as structural empathy gaps that happen where me as a leader, I see things from my perspective, but then I haven't yet created systems or processes or even the ability to just speak to people and understand things from their perspective. Because while I think this is something you can do in 2 seconds, if I sat in your role today, 100%, then I'll see the why 2 seconds is unrealistic. But if I don't have that level of empathy, I will tower over you and I will load it over you until you get my results. But there's an empathy gap between our understanding and our realities. And unfortunately, empathy gaps are not one-sided. Even me as a subordinate,
it's the same way.
I can have an empathy gap for my boss to say, he doesn't do anything. I've told him this, he doesn't make the decision. Not realizing that the leader also may have his own limitation.
Yeah.
And so bringing that awareness in an organization as a whole does help transparency, does help to develop communication, and most importantly, to develop trust. Because trust is the basic schematic for any organization, any structure, any team. If people don't trust each other, feedback is seen as an insult.
That's true.
I say too much.
No, that's amazing, insightful stuff.
If we chose to start asking more questions, this will become a 5-hour podcast, you know what I mean? And I can tell Chidule is getting a little tired sitting in silence. So we'll close it off there. I'm afraid of asking you if you've got anything else. Timoni, do you have anything else?
Nah, I've got nothing else as of now. I just wanted to say, this has been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed this one. And I'm sure the viewers will as well. It's been really good, So thanks for coming on. That's appreciated. Yeah.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, no,
We
definitely.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Musa. I think there's a reason why we met, and for some odd reason we didn't chat then, but we meet again and we chat again, and here we are. So
Divine providence.
there's a reason. Hopefully, this is a story that we get to tell some like many years later. For everybody that's listening, this for me was a Beyond the Blueprint podcast as a whole. There's many of those to pick out and point out. I'm assuming you guys will walk away with a lot to think about, but I hope you've also been entertained, because that's exactly what it is. 3 golden rules: like, share, subscribe, pay it forward. And as we like to say, in everything that you do, please think beyond the blueprint, or look beyond the blueprint. All right, cheers, and we'll catch you in the next one.
All right, guys, thanks. See you.